Libertarianism's main fault: blaming the state while ignoring the money power. Written by Anthony Migchels on February 20th, 2012. Quote, "In all corners of the earth, the words liberty, equality, fraternity, brought to our ranks, thanks to our blind agents, whole legions who bore our banners with enthusiasm. And all the time these words were canker worms at work boring into the well-being of the Goyim, putting an end everywhere to peace, quiet, solidarity, and destroying all the foundations of the Goyim states." Unquote. Protocol 1. Among its many failings, this one stands out. Libertarianism and Austrian economics blame the state for everything, while ignoring the money power. By attacking government, it covers the money power's back to dominate the market through monopoly capitalism. This is not to say that government is not a problem. It is. We should not be naive about the government's ability to solve our problems. It can't. The government is not the Commonwealth. In their own eyes, murdering the Tsar was one of the money power's greatest achievements. His despotism was a great example to them. Government tyranny is a fact of history, and getting rid of the money power would leave a power vacuum that government would love very much to fill. The fact that the money power managed to take control of every government on the planet itself speaks volumes about the trust it deserves. With the descent into an outright police state in the US and ever less friendly fascism in the EU, with ongoing mayhem in the Middle East and naked imperialism aggression now threatening Iran and World War III, we are reminded every day of what the state is capable of. But the problem with the hate the state narrative is this: the money power sits on top of the pyramid. Of course it does. That's what it's all about. And the money power rules through control of the money supply. This gives them all the wealth in the world, and this they use for buying the politicians, the black budget projects, and all they need to build world government. So why hack away at the state and declare that the main problem? What purpose would that serve but to keep our eyes off the ones at the top? The monetary situation. The monetary situation is that the money power has forced governments to surrender their currency monopoly to the semi-private central banks of the said money power. Austrians blame the government for the manipulation of volume, but everybody knows that the Fed is not even a government institution. The ECB is, but it is still totally controlled by the money power. So it is ridiculous to blame the state. The state itself is totally under the money power's control because it is indebted. It needs the banks for cash, and that's why they're totally subverted. Austrian economics itself of course suggests gold as currency, but this does not take away control of the money supply from the money power at all. As we have discussed time and again, a, quote, free market, unquote, for currencies in the Austrian sense of the word would still be wide open to manipulation of volume, as the money power controls the flow of gold in the market. Populists in the US have always tried to wrest this control away from the money power. The War of Independence was fought to regain the power to print money, as the British Crown was demanding tax payments in gold. This struggle has been ongoing ever since, although, after the Second World War, there were only a few who understood what was at stake. Jefferson, Calhoun, Jackson, Lincoln, Bryant, and of course JFK, who seemed to have been awakening in the months before he was shot. Today's populists, like Ellen Brown, Bill Still, and Dick Eastman, even though they don't agree with each other's solutions, have in common that they want the government to create the money, and the service of the populace. This means that they want the government to take back control of the money supply from the money power. Libertarians will always and forever sabotage this much needed and basic reform by saying that it is status. Or, of course, with the boring clincher, it's fiat money, it's bad, bad. Interest-free or not. But such action would make the money power devolve to the level underneath the government on the pyramid. Government would create the money interest-free, withholding vast sums of interest to the money power. Government would also not allow deflationary contractions. It is true that the governments have historically inflated the money supply with negative consequences, but so has the money power itself. So government money would solve our two biggest problems. Number 1, the business cycle and deflation. Number 2, interest. While the inflation problem would probably not be bigger, and in fact smaller than it is now, Without interest on the money supply, there is no intrinsic driver for the money supply to grow forever. Conclusion. Liberty and freedom are just wonderful slogans. Liberty to do what? Freedom from what? For who? Careful analysis is necessary to answer these questions. Government is not a panacea. We need to reevaluate thoroughly what role we see for it. If anything, Austrianism has given us useful information about the negative implications of many government interventions. But claiming it is the problem is simply wrong, and flies in the face of everything the truth movement has uncovered over the last decade or so, of what populists have been fighting for 250 years. The money power has been clamoring for, quote, freedom, unquote, for centuries. It is one of their favorite watchwords. It means freedom for them. Thanks to their blind agents of libertarianism, whole legions bear their banner with enthusiasm, an ounce of gold in pocket. And all the time, this word has a cankerworm at work boring into the well-being of the goyim, putting an end everywhere to peace, quiet, solidarity, and destroying at the foundations of the goyim states.